Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on Boxing and Lily, my co-host. Say hi, Lily. Good job. So today I was watching a video because obviously this Rivera-Cordova fight turned out to be pretty fucking ugly and hard to watch. Mind you, the fight prior to that was fucking fantastic. Great up-and-coming Cuban fighter, Tellez, stepping up against Barras, the German African fighter. I knew Abbas was a tough fighter. We seen him get robbed in his first world title fight against that other Turkish German kid. I can't remember his name, who Demetrius Andrade beat to win a world title. And so I knew this was going to be a great fight. I thought, great matchmaking, right? To put these two up-and-coming fighters. Sure, neither of these guys have big name recognition. And obviously there's a certain amount of boxing fans that only follow name recognition because they're just casual. They don't really know anything about the sport. They don't really follow the sport. They only follow certain fighters or certain promotional companies. So it was no surprise that this MVP, Jake Paul promoted fight card, that of course, this fight probably isn't getting the attention it deserves. But it's definitely a contender for Fight of the Year. It was a great fight, and it was great that Abbas ended up becoming an interim champion. He deserves it. And now he's right in line to fight the tough Puerto Rican kid who he faced off with in the ring afterwards, Xander Zayas. And it's ironic because I remember on this channel, a lot of 154-pound fight fans shitting all over Xander Zayas, really being questionable and critical of him. The irony is, this kid's the youngest champion in the division, right? And he's fighting the guys that are all upsetting the monsters of the division. Obviously, he just beat the guy that beat the tough American kid, and now he's fighting the kid that just beat the tough Cuban kid, right? All he's fighting is beating up and cleaning up the mess that other people couldn't deal with. And the reality is, Conwell and Tellez were supposed to win. They were the ones that are supposed to be in position to potentially get that Xander Zayas fight. But they both dropped the ball, and Xander Zayas is cleaning shit up. So it was a great win for Abbas. He's a tough-as-nails fighter. Not the best technical fighter, not the slickest fighter, but he's hard as nails. He's nonstop aggression. He is must-watch TV. Whereas this fight, hopefully Rivera wins, because who the fuck wants to watch Cordera again? Cordova is garbage. That guy, if I never see him fight again, it'll be too fucking soon. But let's see. Jaime's in the house. What's up? BC is furious at Boots for sparring with Canelo. New player at 154, Abbas. Again, let's just quickly address that. I think it's ridiculous that Bud Crawford fans or whoever they may be are getting in their emotions because Canelo Alvarez is picking a sparring partner who can emulate Bud Crawford. That's what you're supposed to do in sparring. You're supposed to find the guy who most can emulate a certain style so you can prepare perfectly for that fighter. I mean, if Canelo Alvarez is fighting or sparring with Boots Ennis, that's a great fucking move, and one people should be praising from Canelo's point of view. As far as being critical of Boots Ennis, what does Boots Ennis owe fucking Bud Crawford? He doesn't owe Bud Crawford anything. The LDBC fucking fans, or not the LDBC fans, but the PBC fanboys, they were using that kid for years to try to shit on Bud Crawford, literally putting him in the way of making fights. That was the guy they wanted Bud to fight instead of Errol Spence. So don't try to fucking use him now. The kid can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's a grown man. And as far as making this some black versus Mexican thing, of course, that's not a surprise. That's what they're going to do. Yet guaranteed Bud Crawford is fighting some Mexican fighters in sparring, but no one has an issue with that. Go figure, right? Like, this is the kind of pettiness you expect from boxing fans. Stinger from above, what's up? True School is live, and we are talking about it. Talking about what? Abbas or about Boots Ennis fighting, sparring Canelo? I think it's a smart move from Canelo. And the fact that Boots is down, what's the issue? Boots Ennis fights at 154. Bud Crawford has moved out of that division and potentially is going to retire. They're never going to face each other. It's not a conflict of interest at all. But, some people are all caught up in race, and that's the only thing that motivates everything they have to say. And, of course, that's what our video today is going to talk about. The crying community is fuming at Boots. No surprise. How did they announce Han Telez winning at any point in the fight? How did the announcement Han Telez winning at any point in that fight? I was high on Telez until I saw that he couldn't stop J Rock. Well, but you can't hate on a guy for not being able to stop a former world champion. He's still a young kid, right? You're going to come through hurdles. He fought well. I thought the scorecards were too one-sided, to be fair. Yes, both, but mostly about Abbas. Yeah, Abbas. But let's be real. Abbas is going to be someone nobody, the YouTube boxing community, talks about, just like they didn't talk about Telez. And they're only going to talk about Xander Zayas to shit on him and downplay him and criticize him. So, that's the community we fucking rock with. A bunch of hating motherfuckers, which is why I'm talking about John Boxing today, because he's just another hating motherfucker. This guy, instead of talking about fights and being happy, he's trying to justify Tank Davis fighting fucking Jake Paul, right? Like Jake Paul just did something great today. He put on a promotional card with a lot of young up-and-coming fighters. That's fucking great. That's exactly what you want a young up-and-coming promoter to do. Push young up-and-coming fighters and give them a platform. And congratulations, that's what he did. As far as him fighting Tank Davis, that's a money grab from Jake Paul, and you can't blame him because he's not really a professional fighter standing right there behind Yankel Rivera. But you can blame Tank Davis. See, people talk about, like, look at this video. Let me just showcase this right here before we get into it. Let me screen share. So here you go, screening share. The standards of these fighters are not the same. First of all, this douchebag is talking about two retired fighters in Lomachenko and Golovkin, and he's cherry picking a few fighters to try to make this some sort of racial fucking narrative. Yet here you got Asian fighters, Eastern European fighters. But of course, they're not black. And this is why he's in his feelings. But all this video was made up for was to fucking literally defend Tank Davis, cherry picking Jake Paul in a fucking exhibition fight instead of doing what he's supposed to do, right? The irony is, if any of these fighters that John is hating on did something exactly the same, we know what John and the whole black boxing community of the LDBC and the YTBC would do. They'd shit all over them. We already see the double standards consistently. When Lomachenko fought one fighter coming up in weight as a replacement opponent, he was fucking lambasted, yet Tank Davis does it consistently and gets a pass. When Golovkin was ducked by literally every world champion at middleweight division, right? He was the problem because he wasn't marketable enough. So why would those guys fight him? But yet, when David Benavidez doesn't get a Canelo Alvarez fight, oh, it's all Canelo's fault. Of course, here we go with the fucking blatant double standards. So it's Canelo's fault for not picking the tough unknown fighter. But in Golovkin's position, it's his fault for not being a more marketable fighter, for being too dangerous but not marketable enough, right? Like, these blatant fucking double standards have been going on well before the whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation. Oh, Manny Pacquiao isn't fighting any slick black fighters, but neither was Floyd Mayweather. And then when Manny fought fucking Tim Bradley, he got very little to no credit. You tell me what black American fighter that Floyd Mayweather fought at 147 pounds that was slick and as skilled as Tim Bradley. And the mark is going to be zero. Nobody. Nada. Not fucking one. But Pacquiao was always the one criticized. Blatant fucking double standard. When Pacquiao was consistently criticized as being a roid user, but never failed a test, never got caught fucking using illegal IVs. But Floyd was the one that did. But he got a complete pass because, well, he didn't take PEDs, he just took fucking fluid. Nothing wrong with taking fluid. No, there was something wrong with it. It was breaking WADA fucking protocol. So we know why you do that. You do that to flush your system so that you don't test positive when the testing fucking happens. He was doing it literally just before testing. That's breaking fucking WADA protocol. But again, these double standards fucking blatantly fucking have been going through the boxing community for years. Just the fact that this guy, I don't even know how you bring Devin Haney into this conversation. Literally. Devin Haney's in a conversation, all that you're fucking trying to defend Tank Davis. Because no one's hating on Devin Haney. Actually, most people are praising Devin Haney for moving up to his third weight division, taking on a legitimate challenge. But let's be fair. The 24-year-old fighter he's going to face still hasn't done anything in the welterweight division. So, in all fucking reality, Devin Haney should beat him. Brian Norman has never beaten a slick fighter in his career. Everybody he's beaten has been fundamentally flawed and one-dimensional. But we will see if there's more to him when he steps in to face Devin Haney. For Devin Haney, this is what he should do, and he's getting praise for it. I talked about him catapulting back onto the pound-for-pound list by winning that fight. And yeah, he's not on the pound-for-pound list now because he's not a fucking world champion right now. How are you going to put a guy that's not even a world champion onto a fucking pound-for-pound list? Based on your love for him, the fact that you want to fucking suck his cock? Like, I don't care what you want to do in the privacy of your fucking home. Your wife might, but I mean, I don't care. But again, with this racial narrative, this fucking video shows you everything you need to know about the racial double standard. You got Devin Haney holding 4 belts. He won those belts by beating fucking George Kambosos. Luckily, he did go on to fight Lomachenko and controversially fucking won a fight. The majority of media and fucking boxers felt he lost as a weight bully, a guy who was way bigger than Lomachenko. But he got the win. Congratulations. That is the biggest, most significant win of Devin Haney's career. Right? But now you want to defend Tank Davis. Tank Davis never got a Lomachenko win. Tank Davis never got a Regis Prograis win. Tank Davis literally hasn't fought any fighter who's ever been considered a pound-for-pound fighter. And that's the criticism. This is not a double standard. When I talked about Inoue and Junto Nakatani facing off in 2026, the reality is these two fighters want to fight top pound-for-pound quality opposition. And they've agreed to the fight. Agreed to the fight. The fight is already penciled in for early 2026. Junto's not on the pound-for-pound list because he wants to fight Inoue. He's on the pound-for-pound list because he's a 3-weight world champion who literally has unified titles, something Tank Davis has never done. Never. And the way he's going with his career, he never will, because he's going to get this payout on MVP promotion fucking card on Netflix against Jake Paul, the A-side, and then fucking retire from boxing. And fucking thank fucking Christ. Because when Tank Davis retires, that's going to be a fucking huge fucking load of shit on all these fucking racially charged PBC fanboy fucking channels. I mean, Knockout Boxing already dealing with it, but at least he's fucking come forward with it and fucking been honest about it. Unlike John and many others, Fannin and fucking Ego. Guys that literally will fucking ride and die with fucking Tank Davis like they ride and died with Errol Spence. And we saw how that worked out for them. That blew up in their face. The Tank Davis fucking experiment is also blowing up in their face. You can say Tank Davis will beat this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. The problem is he's not fighting anyone. You might want to shit on Golovkin because he hasn't fought 10 small fucking champions coming up in weight. But he fought Canelo Alvarez, who was a pound-for-pound fighter and the pay-per-view star during that era of boxing. He could have easily become undisputed. Billy Joe Saunders had the WBO title. Golovkin had 3 belts. Billy Joe Saunders had 1. So instead of fighting Billy Joe Saunders, he rematched Canelo Alvarez, which is what you should do. That's the fight. But of course, he gets criticized because he wasn't undisputed. Who gives a fuck? Like, guys literally holding this undisputed thing against guys like Lomachenko and Golovkin. But yet, you're going to defend Tank Davis. Again, exposing your fucking blatant racial fucking double standard. Because Tank Davis never unified. We don't even need to talk about undisputed. That guy never fucking beat one other champion to collect another belt. None. 0. Lomachenko was a 3-belt holder. He lost to Tio for undisputed. Golovkin was a 3-belt holder. He lost to Canelo And then, of course, the fucking IBF ended up stripping Canelo Alvarez. And then at that point, he just left the fucking middleweight division. Both easily could have become undisputed, except for the politics of boxing. Kenshiro Taraji was one belt away from being undisputed. And Johnny Gonzalez blatantly fucking ducked him. After agreeing to fight him, he walked away from undisputed. So you got 3 fighters on your list who are 3-belt unified champions. 3-belt unified. Tank Davis has never been unified with fucking 2 belts. Junto Nakatani is 2-belt unified. The only reason he's not going on to become undisputed in the 118-pound division is because he's moving up to his 4th fucking weight division to face Inoue for undisputed. But we're going to somehow criticize these fighters to defend Tank Davis. Of course, you can use fucking Devin Haney, but using Devin Haney doesn't help Tank Davis. Devin Haney is an undisputed champion. He did unify titles, right? He did move up in weight and fight legitimate champions for belts, unlike Tank Davis. Tank Davis moved to 135, never beat a champion to become a champion to get a belt. He moved up to 140, never fought for a legitimate title. The only legitimate titles he's ever won were at 130 fucking pounds. Tell me I'm lying. Everything I'm saying right now is not hate. It's complete 100% factual. So trying to make this some sort of racial double standard that non-black fighters have higher expectations than black fighters, that ain't true. Because people want Junto to fight Inoue. People wanted Junto to fight Bam Rodriguez. People wanted fucking Golovkin to fight Canelo Alvarez, and he did. People wanted Lomachenko to fight the best fighters in his division. He did. He fought fucking Haney. He fought Tio. He didn't fight Tank because at that point, he fucking retired. As far as Kenshiro Taraji, he beat everybody at 108 pounds and then moved up to 112. And currently 2 of the champions at that division are fighters he's already beaten. And a lot of people think he should have won the fight he just lost. Me being one of them. But if you think he lost, okay, that's fine. But the reality is 2 or 3 of the fighters at 112 pounds he already fucking beat that are currently world champions. So trying to deflect this and make it about Devin Haney when it has absolutely fucking nothing to do with Devin Haney is pathetic. But let's look what people are saying in the comment section below or beside. Tank is a fraud. Man, that mutant obsession with Loma and GGG will never end. It's actually fucking sickening. Because that's all they can do is cherry pick fucking Golovkin and try to criticize him because he doesn't have a better resume, even though his fights versus Canelo are better fights than anybody that fucking Tank Davis has ever fought. Even Knockout Boxing had to change his intro into his videos. Of course he did. I don't blame anyone for taking a Paul fight to get that easy bag. It's like hitting the lottery for 36 minutes at your time. But let's be real. He already fucking hit the jackpot when he fought Ryan Garcia. He could have got big bags. He was offered a big bag by Turki Al-Sheikh to fight Devin Haney. So it's not like this is a guy who couldn't get money. He could. He just didn't want to take legitimate fucking opponents. He wanted to take on a cherry pick. That's why we're not going to fucking give him a pass. He's still a world champion at 135. And he could have fucking got turkey money for Devin Haney. Right? Probably as much, if not more money than he's going to get to fight Jake Paul in a fucking exhibition. And if you won that fight, you're guaranteed more and more money from fucking Turki Al-Sheikh. But he's the one that said, fuck Turki Al-Sheikh. I ain't working with him. I'm the A side. And what did he do? Bend over, take it in the ass from fucking Jake Paul being a B side on fucking MVP promotions. Why? Because fucking PBC is dead, shot, finished. They got nothing going on. Ryan was one-dimensional and Haney couldn't adapt. Well, that's the truth. I mean, that was a shit version of Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney looked like garbage. He deserves criticism because of his performance. You can say, fine, Ryan Garcia was on PEDs, but that wasn't a good version of Ryan Garcia. We saw the build-up, how fucking mental he was. Everyone thought that Devin Haney had a chance to actually knock him out. That's 100% accurate. You know, when you stop to think about it, these young dudes at 154 have been equally as disappointing as the other guys who used to fight at 154. It's shocking to me. Yeah, but you got to give them a chance. Like, sure, people lost, but that's the whole point. You don't know how good someone is until they step up and take good competition. Hence the reason why people are critical of Tank Davis, because he's failed to do that. He's never taken on a legitimate top opponent in his fucking career. Conwell, Ramos, now Telez. You know, this is a little bit off subject, but Naji Lopez ducked Better Biev. Why would you negotiate a fight like that and then back out? Well, probably because they were hoping to get the bag. But at this point, he's a no-name and just a fucking stay busy fight. Sean, you speaking facts, my brother. Salute to you, Sean. Cheers, Mike. I think Gervonta is scared to lose the mystical of losing his O. And that's part of the problem with these American fighters, primarily black American fighters, primarily PBC fighters, because the PBC has fucking hung everything on this Floyd Mayweather fucking undefeated resume. No one talks about Andre Ward because no one gives a fuck. It still always comes back to Floyd Mayweather, the mystical 50-0, even though the one fucking victory was against an MMA fighter making his debut. The reality is, it don't matter if you have a loss. Canelo Alvarez has 2 losses, and he's still the most fucking popular, most successful fighter in the sport of boxing. Jake Paul has a loss, yet he's the A-side to Tank Davis. So what does this fucking loss shit really mean? If you actually are entertaining and give boxing fans what they want, win, lose, or draw, you're going to be a fucking staple. You're going to get paid money, and you're going to be popular. Example, Arturo fucking Gatti. Nah, Sean, Knockout Boxing 86 is now spinning the narrative. He's talking about how Tank is playing 4D chess, how this fight isn't actually going to make him the PBC biggest star. Oh, well, it's no surprise he's going to fucking spin it because, you know, it was hard for him to swallow all the bullshit lies he tried to defend that actually blew up in his face, just like the whole Errol Spence shit. Gervonta would rather retire than be embarrassed and lose. That's a fact. He said that, right? That guy is guaranteed to retire after this because heaven forbid he loses because he's just not motivated. Racists now flipping their wigs because Boots is working with Canelo. Is Boots a sellout now? No. Boots is fucking working with somebody that wants to work with him to prepare for a big fight. What's the issue? Bud Crawford's working with Mexican fucking sparring partners. No one's calling them sellouts, right? There's always this racial fucking thing, specifically from black Americans. Not to say it doesn't come from other people, but the loudest fucking noise is the one that gets the fucking oil. And on YouTube, it's primarily black American boxing fans who you got to question if they're even boxing fans, the majority of these guys. Boots is off code. This whole off code thing is also garbage. Like, do it for the culture. So you fucking act like fucking rowdy fucking pricks in public. It goes on video, goes all over social media, and then people go, doing it for your culture, looking like a bunch of fucking animals. And then people fucking try to say, well, that's just, you know, that's one group. That's not everybody. Yeah, but that one group is doing it for the culture. They're literally hurting the culture because that shit's seen by everybody. When some big black mama is fucking throwing a food fit in fucking McDonald's, fighting with the staff and throwing her food all over the place, she's doing that for her culture. Not that she's trying to do it for her culture, but that's what happens. People see that, and now they judge everybody based on that shit. When a bunch of white people jump a black guy in Miami, again, doing it for their culture. Now fucking people see that and fucking think all white people are like that. That's why you have to fucking always carry yourself properly. I live in Taiwan, Asia. I'm a minority. Oh my God. A far bigger minority than blacks in America. The amount of white people in Taiwan is far less than 13%. But that means I have to carry myself like a gentleman. Say hello to people, be polite, even when somebody does something I think is stupid. Try to fucking control my anger and understand that I stand out and people will hold this against other foreigners in Taiwan if I act like a fucking hoodlum, right? Do it for your culture. Why would the PBC have Funduro and Ramos fight on the same card and then not against each other? Because they know Ramos doesn't sell. So they want that Keith Thurman money. 78 went on a rant just to complain about Boots. Of course he would, even though he's the guy that used Boots Ennis to fucking hate on Bud Crawford. When Canelo mentioned Paul, they freaked a leak. Ramos moving up to 160, now Funduro fighting Thurman. David because Funduro wants no part of Ramos. Oh, bullshit, Champy. Fucking Ramos is a guy that lost the fucking Erickson Lubin and has done absolutely nothing to redeem himself since that fight. Tyson Fury is prime, fought 0-0 MMA fighter in Francis. How is that any different? Once again, TJ coming out fucking talking pure bullshit. Literally, Fury got roasted for fighting fucking Ngannou. Roasted. He wasn't cheered and fucking protected. He was roasted for fighting him. At least Jake Paul is 12-1 and is 14. See, you're a fucking tool. Like, no one can believe anything a tool like you has to say. Like, you would rather suck fucking Tank Davis's dick than fucking actually say something real. Pathetic. Pathetic. You're pathetic. Tank Davis is moving up 8 weight divisions. Pathetic. People are literally hating on Canelo Alvarez for pulling up fucking Bud Crawford, even though it's Bud Crawford that's chasing Canelo. And now you're going to use fucking that to defend Tank Davis. Tank Davis is ducking fucking every legitimate fucking opponent in his career. The guy is a fucking manufactured, fucking created fighter, just like fucking Adrian Broner was. The only difference is they put Adrian Broner in with Maidana and he got beat up. This time they learned, let's not do that. Let's not put Tank Davis in with anybody legitimate. And they didn't. And this is just another one of those moves. It's pathetic, cowardly. It's a fucking straight up bitch move. Machado, he would be crying like an absolute 304 if Canelo was fighting Jake. Of course he would. If Canelo was the one fighting Jake Paul, all these people now defending Tank Davis would fucking be all over social media losing their fucking shit. And I would say it's a shit fight. And I'm not going to pay for it. And it shouldn't be happening. Just like I'm saying with this. Just like I said with Fury and fucking what's his face, just like I said with AJ, just like I said AJ versus fucking Jake Paul. The only person I said that Jake Paul should be fighting is Deontay Wilder because that dude's fucking washed and this is a great opportunity for him. I don't know if he would win, but he would be a handful. Thurman would try and make 147 and take over the weak division. Take over what? That lady that 78 brought on today has to be one of the most ratchet human beings on the planet. Well, that's the kind of people that hang out with fucking the LDBC. Fucking women that literally, if they were throwing it to me, I'd fucking be running the other direction. I wouldn't fucking go anywhere close to them. Do you know who is fighting on the undercard of Inui MJ? A bunch of top Japanese fighters. But if you don't watch Japanese boxing, then you're not going to be really aware. One champion from bantamweight is going to be on the undercard, and then a couple other guys as well. Come on, we all know it wasn't a loss. 80% of boxing public thinks Ramos won and considered him undefeated. That's a lie. But what everybody does think is that Ramos fought like shit and fucking had an opportunity to make a statement and get a big win, and he fucking dropped the ball. That's what everybody thinks. Sean's going off tonight. Sued for calling the clowns out. That's my fucking job. Roach was a cherry gone wrong, and Tank has been on the run ever since. And that's the truth of that situation. Lomachenko was roasted for fighting the 126-pound fighter as a replacement for Salido. John Boxing, the rest of them, they fucking lost their fucking wig because he fought that guy. Tank Davis has fought like 5 to 6 dudes moving up in weight. 5 or 6. Roach, another example of that. And they say, Roach is just as big as Tank. Yeah. Bud Crawford's just as big as fucking Canelo. We can both fucking say that. How does that work out? Right? Once again, cherry picking for race. Right? Defending Tank Davis, shitting on Canelo Alvarez. Yet both of them picking fighters coming up in weight who physically are almost the same size as they are. Who sold out? Is anybody legitimate? What do you mean, who sold out? Stringer was her name, CC. John Boxing losing what's left he had of his mind over the Crawford-Canelo fight. If Crawford loses, John Boxing might crash out and burn. He's been putting all the bricks in place for excuses already. Who sold out, Tank or Paul? Tank. How did Jake Paul sell out? Jake Paul is a fucking promoter who's trying to make money by getting opponents that he could market. So he's doing exactly what he always does. But if you were against him fighting Mike Tyson, or if you're against him fighting Julio Cesar Chavez, you should also be against him fighting Tank fucking Davis. Don't change it just because the fighter you like is now getting paid. I mentioned this in another live, but even though Tellez got what leftover version of Vasquez, he stopped him earlier than Ramos could. Sean Tellez got his ass whooped. No, he didn't. He didn't get his ass whooped. And the reason the betting was so wrong is because fucking people are stupid. I told you that fucking Abbas is a solid fighter. I thought maybe Tellez would stop him late in the 10th or 11th round just because of wear and tear. But it was almost the opposite. Tellez almost got stopped late. Nobody fucking should have looked past Abbas. His only loss was a controversial loss. Most people feel he won. Kate Middleton. 50 reasons why Tank to take this fight. Every fighter would take it. Once again, you can do that. But then don't cry and moan when you get criticized. And fans of Tank Davis look like fucking simps because they're defending it. Just say what it is. It's a money grab. That's all you say. You go, I'm against it. This is not what I want Tank Davis to do. It's a complete money grab. That's what you say. And people are going to be like, yeah, that's true. It's definitely not fucking a good fight for his legacy, but he wants to go out, grab money and retire. Okay, that's what he's doing. But when I say his legacy is shit, don't criticize me because his legacy is shit. And you doing this move is just verifying that even more. Just be honest. And the fact that Tellez had 2 unimpressive performances in a row validates Ramos isn't shit. You got to stop calling guys cherries. Well, you got to put in context. Most realize Lubin landed only 90% 90 punches and got a gift affirmative action decision. People, Champy, we know that fucking Lubin was given a fight that potentially could have went against him. But that's because Ramos literally did nothing in the fight. He stopped throwing punches. He didn't fucking go for it. People looked at him. Like right now, David is shitting all over Ramos. But David was one of the most fan-friendly Ramos guys here. Every time I had a live, he'd be bringing Ramos into a fight card. Talking about Ramos fucking every single day. Now he's totally against Ramos, primarily because of that poor performance against fucking Lubin. And now his bitch-ass move to go to 160 to fight for a WBA regular title versus Shane Mosley fucking Jr. A fight that no one gives a fuck about. He wins that. He's still not a legitimate champion. He could have fought a legitimate champion at 154. I thought Ramos beat Lubin 8-4. Ortiz going to KO Lubin. That's true. He's going to. Nobody wanted the Roach fight in the first place, so don't cry Duckery now because he isn't making the rematch. See, once again, TJ, you're not helping fucking Tank Davis's argument. Tank Davis cherry-picked Roach. Nobody wanted it. Facts. But Tank Davis still gave you that and charged you fucking $85 for it. And you were fucking defending it. And then he got beat and fucking the robbery was in. The fix was in. The guy took the knee, fucking didn't have an 8 count, didn't have a fucking 10-8 round go against him, turned his back on the fighter, got his face wiped by the crowd, could have easily been disqualified and lost that fight. And then he came out and said he wanted revenge. And what did he do? Duck the fight. Duck it to go fight fucking Jake Paul. That's not a good look. It's a fucking terrible look. And if Tank Davis wasn't black, you'd fucking be all over it. You'd be fucking losing it in my comment section right now. Fucking crying racism, double standard, right? We know what you'd be doing, TJ. I remember who you are. I thought Ramos probably should have won too, but his lack of killer instinct, overrated punching power is the reason he got put in that position. Tellez got destroyed, bro. Are you serious? I watched the fight, Aircraft Carrier. It's one of the fights of the year because it was a competitive back and forth fight. Sure, Abbas ended up pulling off at the end, almost stopping him in the 12th round, but it's not a fucking one-sided fight. Tellez landed almost the identical amount of punches as fucking Abbas did. So how is it destroyed? Destroyed means getting wiped out in 2 or 3 rounds. Going 12 rounds and losing a decision is not being destroyed. Again, boxing fans with their crazy fucking narratives. Lubin's chin and durability is trash, and Lubin didn't have a scratch on him. When Tank took a knee against Roach, the ref should have started counting, but he didn't. It was a blatant look at how corrupt the sport is. He did start counting, and then he stopped. That's the fucking corruption. It was shitty about that too, because I had money on Ramos. I like the Tank Jake Paul fight. It's going to do incredible things on Netflix. There you are. That tells us everything you need to know about TJ. He's a fucking fanboy. Because there's nothing about that fight that is going to fucking be entertaining. Like, what do you think is going to be great about a fucking exhibition fight where nobody's actually trying to fucking hurt the other guy? Nobody's trying to knock the other guy out. They're all fighting for money, knowing that a bunch of stupid simps like you are going to fucking tune in. I'm going to tune in to watch the undercard fights because I support fucking boxing and I support Jake Paul being a promoter. But I'm not going to fucking stay and watch the fucking Jake Paul fucking Tank Davis fight because I don't support fucking trash. Tank was never in it for legacy. Did your St. John cry on John Boxing to remove you on Ortiz versus Lubin fight? Fucking St. John is such a fucking ridiculous fucking human being. The things he says, man. Like, these guys don't mind lying. They say fucking Golovkin only fought 3 world champions. Again, a fucking lie. They never list Daniel Geale, who literally was a 2-time middleweight champion. These dudes are so fucking low scumbags. Tank Davis is great. He had 10 world champions in his resume. Lomachenko's a hype job. But Lomachenko fought, 13, 14 world champions. So right now you're contradicting your whole fucking narrative. As you can see in this video. Go look at the fucking comments. Like, look at the comments in this video and it tells you about the people that follow John Boxing and the kind of bullshit, racial fucking motivated bullshit that John consistently pushes on his channel. Tank and Jake news overshadowing Bud and Canelo. Oh, see, once again, this shows what kind of boxing fan you are. You'd hope that somehow Jake Paul and Tank Davis is more successful than Bud Crawford versus fucking Canelo Alvarez. But yet you're all about black American fighters. But yet you fucking pray that Bud Crawford's fight with Canelo gets overshadowed by fucking Tank Davis. Like, that's the kind of low bag scumbag you are. Like, these black fucking supporters of boxing, they don't support black fighters. Just like they don't fucking support black Americans. Right? Trump is now fucking cleaning up DC and fucking Chicago, stopping black on black crime, stopping black kids from getting killed in the streets. People are fucking losing it. But yet, this is what the government should have always done. You should have fucking stopped thuggery in the fucking streets. Fucking wild fucking guns being shot at little children fucking in the parks. But this is the same mentality that fucking filters over to YouTube. A bunch of stupid motherfuckers that would rather fucking say, look, Tank Davis is fucking great. He's bigger than Canelo Alvarez. No. Jake Paul maybe is bigger than Canelo Alvarez, but not fucking Tank Davis. Tank Davis is the B-side. He sold his soul to become a fucking B-side. That's what he did. Lima might be unknown killer like this German guy. Well, that's the truth. See? That's the one thing fucking Boots haters who are just crying about Lima fight, now crying that Boots is fucking sparring with Canelo, right? These guys support black American fighters, but they don't. Lubin was one who actually did nothing. Exactly. I used to be behind Ramos, not anymore, but obvious reasons. I thought Ramos beat Lubin clearly. Thank goodness that Harvey Dock won't be the ref. But Ramos did way more. Oh my God. Sean, unboxing. Why you need to understand is we don't live in the Stone Ages anymore. Boxers are taking control of their careers to maximize their worth. No, that's what Jake Paul is doing. Jake Paul is using Tank Davis because he knows he's a stupid fucking idiot who's fucking greedy, right? And he's using him. If you are smart and you're taking control of your career, you'd be working with Turki Al-Sheikh, getting paid and knowing you're going to get repeat fucking opportunities to make money. This is the new wave. But unfortunately, it's not being pushed by the PBC because the PBC's 2 biggest fighters are not on the PBC. Tank is going to be on MVP. Benavidez is going to be on fucking Netflix, run by Turki Al-Sheikh. St. John's a punk. He was here. He said Taylor was pound for pound and Loma won. Now he's sucking up to John Boxing. He's changed his narrative. I call him out on it all the time. Sean, you wouldn't duck Lamont for the Jake Paul bag. Once again, aircraft carrier, you fucking missed the whole point. If you want to say that Tank Davis is fucking just grabbing the bag and it's a bad fucking look and he's literally ducking fucking Lamont Roach to fucking get paid and is just trying to do a cash grab, I'd agree with you. But if you're trying to defend fucking Tank Davis in what he's doing, that's the issue. Because if this was someone else doing it, you wouldn't fucking be saying the same thing. Sean, my people are our worst enemy, if you know what I mean. I know. That's why we need Donald Trump to clean up the streets. I don't think Canelo will gain anything from Boots. Bud has a different style. No, Alan, of course you're going to learn from fighting Boots. Boots is long, like Bud Crawford. He can switch seamlessly between left and right? Obviously, there's differences between them. Nobody would necessarily at this point say that Boots is as good, as sharp, as fast, and doesn't have the footwork that Bud has. But we don't even know if Bud's going to have that footwork. Sorry I didn't upload my video. I did my Bud Crawford How He Can Win video, and somehow I fucking deleted it before I fucking edited it. So now I have to do it again, hopefully today. You know, it's hard to motivate yourself to make a video you already fucking made, but I will try to get on it. I don't think Canelo will gain anything, Sean. These clowns saying Boots sold out African-American race for sparring with Canelo. No, these are fucking stupid motherfuckers, man. Right? Because most of those people that say that wanted Boots to beat Bud Crawford. When Boots was being used by the PBC as a fucking wall to stop an Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight, those dudes were all over using Boots. Now they want to fucking use Boots again, hoping that Bud Crawford can beat Canelo. You can give Virgil credit for a fight and acknowledge it somewhat live fight without making Lubin out to be a killer. The clown show is equivalent to Shrek versus the Leprechaun. Exactly. No, I mean, Ortiz fighting Lubin is a solid fight. The only problem is both Lubin and fucking Ortiz literally ducked world title fights to put on this fight, which nobody can say is a Jake Paul versus a Tank Davis fight. It's not that kind of fight. It's not a huge money fight. I mean, Ortiz, I don't think he's going to make any more money fighting Lubin than he'd fighting any fucking bum-ass 154-pound fighter, in all reality. I can't see Ramos fighting Janibek. Well, he won't. He's fucking running by the PBC. He's going towards fucking Erislandy Lara. Bud literally has a Latino in his camp right now. These crying weirdos need to get off the homie Boots. Well, that's the thing I just stated multiple times. Bud Crawford got Mexican fighters in camp, helping him prepare for fucking Canelo. You don't hear Latin fighters, Mexican boxing fans moaning and groaning about the guy being off code. Boots is the closest thing to Bud's style, or per the experts. Bud's footwork and speed always been a myth. This will be a third or fourth tune-up in a row for Ramos, mostly Jr. Will any of these guys be at the Canelo fight in Vegas? Not me. Bud doesn't have a good defense. His defense is his offense by keeping guys off of him to get in exchanges. I think Lara would beat Ramos, maybe. I think Lara beats Ramos. Ramos needs to leave the PBC. I think he's trying to, don't know how many fights he has left with them. Well, they definitely have not helped his career. He was at a point where he was almost going to break out, and then he just went, woo, fell off. And now moving up to fight Shane Mosley fucking Jr. I mean, no matter how you sell that shit, you can't act as if it's something boxing fans are excited about, because no one's excited about that shit. Nobody. Who's that girl? The reality of the situation is, you know, this so-called double standard that guys like John Boxing always push, there is a double standard. Black American fighters are held to a fucking lower fucking standard. That's just the reality. To be a Black American fighter, you don't need to do anything to be fucking dick rode and fucking praised. Whereas if you're a non-Black fighter, you get criticized for becoming a unified multiple weight champion. Lomachenko's a 3-weight champion. in what? 11 fights. Fought 13 or 14 world champions. Right? Fought pound for pound fighters, multiple. Won 3 of the 4 belts at 135 pounds. Kenshiro was a 3 belt holder at 108, was a 2 belt holder at 112, unified in both divisions, fought all the top competition in both weight classes. Hence the reason why guys he beat at 108 are now champions at 112. Junto Nakatani is a 3-weight world champion who's a unified champion at bantamweight, going to move into his 4th weight division. Golovkin is the only guy that primarily kept his career in one division, right? Was a middleweight, but is a 2-time middleweight champion and was unified champion both times. 3 belts he held at the first time. Obviously, he could have fought Billy Joe Saunders to become undisputed, but how much credit do you think guys like John Boxing would have gave Golovkin if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders to become an undisputed middleweight champion? Do you think these guys would be dick riding Golovkin like they do Devin Haney? Do you think they'd be like, oh man, Golovkin, undisputed? No. They'd be saying Billy Joe Saunders was a Euro bum. He didn't beat any legitimate fighters. His undisputed was weak. We know what they would say because we've heard it. The narratives consistently. You don't like Golovkin. Okay, that's fine. But somehow you don't mind dick riding fucking Deontay Wilder, a guy who never unified titles. Never. And never even went back to become a 2-time heavyweight champion, even though he's given opportunities. Because Golovkin was a way better fighter than fucking Deontay Wilder. Sean, can you agree with me that American boxing is dying because of the fans talk and the same 4 fights? That shit definitely is killing it, right? Because unfortunately, a lot of the channels on YouTube consistently only push the same fucking racial narratives every day. And unfortunately, they got a bunch of racially obsessed fucking teenagers that fucking subscribe to the channel that aren't real boxing fans. Don't do the research, don't know the fighters, only focus on race, only care about fucking black American fighters like this is some fucking hip-hop fucking thing. Like, these dudes kill the sport because of their stupidity and fucking lack of knowledge. And they don't want to learn. They don't want a new generation of fighters to come in and fucking grab them. And when Spence, Tank Davis, Charlo, and Spence, fucking disappear, Wilder, then who the fuck are they going to support then? Who are these dumb motherfuckers going to support then? Half of them can't support Devin Haney because they shit on Devin Haney for the last fucking 5 years. So then who are they going to support? They don't support Boots because they consistently shitting on Boots too. So who are they going to support? Right? They fucking shoot themselves in the foot every time they open their fucking mouths. Unlike them, I'm excited by up-and-coming young fighters. Eager to see the next great star. Eager to talk about that on my channel, even if stupid motherfuckers don't want to come watch my lives and only 8 people come to watch it. That's fine. I'd rather have 8 fucking boxing fans on my live than 150 casual, stupid motherfuckers that just want to talk about the same bullshit every fucking day. Right? So thank you everybody for being in my live. I appreciate it. And I appreciate people that actually want to talk about the sport because that's what we're here for. The whole reason I opened a YouTube channel is so I'd have people that liked boxing to talk about boxing. Because in our everyday life, how many friends do you know that really are boxing fans? Not many. I got one for you. With all the fighters of today, name one fighter that has a better resume than Usyk, just one. Well, Canelo, I think you could say his resume is better, but obviously what Usyk has done is fucking fantastic. He's won every single fight on the road, always been the B-side, always been the guy that was putting himself as the, not the favorite, right? Always the underdog, and still found a way to win every single fucking fight. So you really got to praise what he's done over a very short period of time. Luke Santa Maria just got knocked out by Nicholas Flav on Pro Box. I think Nicholas Flav is good. Pro Box got some good young fighters. Okay, and Ramos handled him, 21-year-old, 3-4. Sean, what do you think of Marco Verdi? Oh, I think Marco Verdi is a great young up-and-coming Mexican fighter. Of course, on this fucking YouTube community, he's going to be a hype job, media created, even though he's a successful amateur fighter who now is transitioning into the pros, going to be on the undercard of Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, giving him a huge platform to build up a strong Mexican and Mexican-American fan base. And he's the kind of fighter Mexican fans should like. He's versatile. He's tall. He's a good-looking kid. He's not one-dimensional. So we'll see. But, of course, you got to do it in the ring. You got to win the wins, right? You got to beat the fucking guys ahead of you. Usyk has bigger accomplishments than Canelo. Bigger accomplishments? I don't know if he's got bigger accomplishments. This is the Usyk and Canelo era. Well, you got to throw Bud Crawford and Inui in there as well. Yes, I agree. Flav is pretty decent. And so is the guy you talked about earlier that you said ducked Better Biev. I like him. He's a good fighter too. And then there's one other guy from Pro Box that's similar. Also long, lanky, a good boxer. Before, it was just Canelo era, but Usyk has earned himself on the headline for this era. Canelo's next. If Ramos wasn't there, he would have stopped him like Flav did Santa Maria. These clowns fans throwing Tellez away already, shaking my damn head. I don't understand that either, right? I still didn't make my pro-Cuban video. Oh, my PPV, PPT is ready. I just haven't got the motivation to sit down and make it because once again, I made the video and somehow it didn't work. So trying to make myself motivated to do it again is hard to do. But Tellez losing, obviously that's one of the fighters I had that I was hyping up as one of the great young up-and-coming Cuban fighters. And I think his performance today, people shouldn't be hateful for it. Like, obviously, he was in with a fucking unknown fighter for most Americans, but a guy that was great, already proved he was a solid, resilient, aggressive fighter. For Tellez, he can learn from this and get better, right? And that's all you can ask. John 78 and all these LDBCs are the Al Sharptons, Jesse Jacksons of the boxing world, scamming their people with the race shit. Exactly. Canelo, I researched he did not fight a lot of people in their primes compared to Usyk, but Canelo is slightly lower than Usyk. Went from light heavyweight to heavyweight, fight in boxing 40 pounds. Ramos took till Moses part the seas, is finally stops Rosario, but this dude is less durable than Lubin. Usyk, Canelo, and Inui Crawford, today's Fab Four. Yeah, I mean, you got to be pretty impressed with all four of them, right? I mean, obviously, at this point, I think Canelo Alvarez is closer to the end of his career. He's the one that's definitely slid the most. Usyk is the oldest, him and Crawford, but I still think they got something left, specifically Usyk. Crawford, we will see him stepping up to face Canelo. I'm going to make that video today about how he can win, and he definitely can win. I've been talking about it from day one that I kind of favor Bud Crawford to beat Canelo in that fight. But I'm happy to see that Canelo is working with Boots. I think that's great preparation for the fight. Cubans are trash as pros, although Andy Cruz is nice. Well, unfortunately, Cuban fight for fighters don't really get much support in America, right? And a lot of that's because they got that boring defense first kind of style. But what I was making a video about Cuba was that these new generation of Cubans are a lot more aggressive, a lot more knockout, a lot more boxer punchers, right? Which is what I prefer. Maybe a Nui up there, but not Crawford. Come on. Crawford's a 2-weight undisputed champion. If he beats Canelo, he's going to be a 3-weight undisputed champion. Something that boxing history is probably never going to see again. He fought people with 8 inches in height, longer. Usyk has top resume. Canelo is second. Well, it's opinion, Jason. I don't disagree with you. I definitely think what Usyk has done has been fucking excellent. And he definitely came in fighting guys way taller, longer, and bigger than him, which is why I have him pound for pound number 1 on my list right now. Guys like John Boxing, using their race narrative, of course, get upset because it's not a black fighter, primarily Bud Crawford. But Bud Crawford's never had to come up against such, obstacles in his career. Never. Most of the fighters he's faced, he's been longer than, kind of like Floyd Mayweather. Always had the longer reach. Sean, you sleeping on Canelo. I'm not sleeping. It's just Canelo definitely looks like he's begun to slip the last couple years, right? And we definitely see how he can be beat. Obviously, Floyd and uh, Bivol both showed us. And the thing about Canelo is, I know he's not going to change his style. He's going to fight the way he fights as a counterpuncher. And if he does that, he gives opportunities for others to beat him, to outwork him, right? So the opportunities are there. Raf, I know he had to move up because he can't make 154 anymore. It is what it is. The new MJ will be overshadowed by Bud in terms of coverage, but it's probably going to be a better fight to watch. Absolute fireworks. It should be a great fight for sure. And I think, like Bud Crawford and like Canelo, Inui is really taking this shit serious. I think, though, Loma was one of the best resumes, even with his losses. I only count Loma losing one fight. Haney lost to him, and so did Mr. Low Blow. I agree with you. I think only Tio beat him, and even that fight was very close. And I thought if Lomachenko won the 12th round, it would have been a draw, right? Things could have easily changed. Obviously, Lomachenko could have fought Comey instead of fucking Virgil Ortiz and become undisputed. He allowed Virgil Ortiz to fight Comey so that he had a title so they could build that fight up into a pay-per-view, right? But if Bob Arum really would have done what was best for Loma, he would have had Loma fight Comey to become undisputed and then had these two young up-and-coming fighters earn their opportunities against to get a fight with Loma, maybe fighting each other in Haney and Tio. If Canelo beats Bud, are we all giving Canelo all the credit? I will give him credit. Bud Crawford's a pound for pound future Hall of Famer. It's a fucking great win. Maybe the best win on Canelo Alvarez's resume. Yeah, but against Floyd, he was green in 23, and Bivol is another pound for pound great in Canelo's fourth weight class up. Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about how Canelo fought both of them. He did not adjust in either fights. He could have fought differently against Floyd. He should have fought differently against Floyd. I don't think any Canelo fan would have wanted Canelo to try to outbox Floyd Mayweather in that performance. They would have expected him to fight more like Julio Cesar Chavez, to be more aggressive and put pressure on him and try to break him down, outwork him, tire him out, and stop him late. But that's not what he did. And so, of course, he lost. You got to blame his corner and the preparation for that loss. Sean, has Canelo ever won a fight making an in-game adjustment? I don't think so. He made adjustments between Golovkin 1 and Golovkin 2, but that was between fights, kind of like what Azuma Nelson was always great at. Azuma didn't really make too much changes in the ring, but between fights, he made great adjustments, which allowed him to win the majority of his rematches. If Bud a better win than Cotto and Kovalev? For sure. Kovalev was definitely older and past his prime. Cotto as well, right? I mean, what great wins did they have prior to that? Cotto had lost to Austin Trout. Kovalev, was lucky to survive against fucking Anthony Yard. This might have landed close to the same amount of punches, but Tellez's shots were less effective. Did Abrahams have popped 50% is decent? Abbas had got some pop, but he's not a knockout puncher. Yes, has against Jacobs. The atmosphere was biased. Also, I think Abbas probably landed like 40 or so more punches. Yes, it'll be back. It's still a live dog at heavyweight. Andy Ruiz. Better win because most boxing experts are picking Bud to win. Jaime, I don't see it. I'm surprised by the amount of boxing pundits that are picking Bud Crawford to win. It's huge, man. Huge. Abbas is very awkward. Moses versus Ruiz is a good fight. I was thinking if Canelo beats Bud, we will get credit for beating two undisputed champions, Bud and Crawford. Two ways of Crawford winning against Canelo. One will be a decision and then pushing him because he is black and the best fighter at all time. Then there will be the ref that will be for Bud. Exactly how is Tellez going to go on and do something? He is ruined beyond repair. That's not true. Ruiz is washed. Abbas is a bull, but he's a chess player. I mean, Charlo and Bud. David, why? Let's be fair. I know Black America doesn't want to give Canelo credit, but they never wanted to give Canelo credit ever. They don't even want to give Bud Crawford credit, the majority of Black American boxing fans, right? Most of them have been anti Bud Crawford more than anyone else, right? Just like John's boxing video today, bringing Devin Haney into the conversation. The biggest haters towards Devin Haney have been Black America, primarily PBC fucking Tank Davis fans, right? This black on black hate is probably the one thing that isn't talked about enough in the boxing world, right? Which definitely fucking translates from America. The reality is Tank Davis is a great fighter. That's why we expect better things from him. Bud Crawford's a great fighter, and him stepping up to fight Canelo is a fucking great fucking opportunity for him. And huge. If he wins, what a fucking win. What a legacy win. Right now you're comparing somebody getting paid huge money going for legacy. Somebody else getting paid huge money throwing legacy away. And this is the comparison between Bud Crawford and Tank Davis. One wants to be great and knows by being great, he will get paid. The other one doesn't give a fuck. He's greedy, entitled, never fucking came into the sport with the right mentality and was fucking polluted from fucking day one. And the kid fucking is just a mental case, right? But as far as an exciting fighter, he's got all the tools. The problem is he ain't fucking wanting to use them against anyone legitimate, which is sad. Give it another year and you'll see a lot of the superb European fighters. They like Canelo more than Bud. How about Conwell and Tellez facing each other? I got Conwell all day. That would be a great fight. And Conwell is similar to Abbas, right? So for Tellez, it'd be a good opportunity to use a fucking jab, right? Use the jab. Beating Charlo and Bud, two undisputed champs. One thing I will say, though, is Abbas is better than Garcia Perez. I don't know if he's better, but they're definitely a different style. Different style. They actually slandered Bud for taking a picture with Victor Conte, but Canelo actually popped 30. Well, it's not that he took a picture with Conte. He works with Conte. The biggest drug cheat in American sports history. Salute, Sean. I listened to John Boxing's video today, and it was one of the worst ones that race clown has ever made. No, it's terrible. That's what we were talking about today, right? The fact that, a guy like this is usually using this kind of narrative to somehow defend Tank Davis cherry picking fucking a payday as opposed to building a legacy. And you want to shit on fighters here, all four, who've been unified champions, something Tank Davis has never done, and somehow act as if Devin Haney, who became undisputed, is so significant. Yet Golovkin had 3 belts. Lomachenko had 3 belts. Ken Shiro had 3 belts. Sure, they didn't get the 4th belt, but they actually beat multiple champions to fucking get 3 belts. Even Junta Nakatani had 2 belts, right? So you want to talk about unification and undisputed, but Tank Davis is never unified against anyone. But yet you want to fucking defend him and say that there's a double standard. Yeah, there is a double standard. Black American fighters get off far easier. That's the blatant double standard. Conwell is not a chess player. That's true. How come you never hear of the boxing community of the Klitschko brothers? Klitschko 10-year reign and Tyson, then Usyk. They never hear the black community talk about them. Because the black community ignored heavyweight boxing when the Klitschkos dominated. And they didn't start talking about heavyweight division until the 2 Klitschkos basically retired. One retired, giving Deontay Wilder a belt. Now they started talking about Wilder a little bit, even though the majority of people thought Stavern was going to beat him. And then Tyson Fury beat the other Klitschko, and now all of a sudden Deontay Wilder became the fucking hype job of the heavyweight division. Not based on doing anything, but based on one Klitschko retiring and then Tyson Fury beating the other Klitschko. And somehow Wilder is the savior of the heavyweight division. He ducked a Klitschko unification fight. which allowed Fury to do something that he never did: unify titles. Suppose he had crazy Tyson. I heard Hitchens ducked Antoine Russell and is calling out Lamont Roach. That wouldn't be a surprise. You and John are enemies to the end. Not enemies. I don't hate John, but I just think John is so full of shit. He's the problem with America. The fact that many black Americans like him are so racially charged, so fucking racist towards fucking white people in America, think the country hates them. It's like, I will give you a comparison. I'm Canadian. French Canada, English Canada. Because we don't really have race issues so much in Canada, even though now with Muslims and fucking brown people, we have a bit more. But a lot of that's brought on by them. They want to change the country, change the government, change fucking the social fabric of a country. Of course, people are going to fucking get angry about that. But we got French Canada and English Canada. French Canada is always moaning and groaning, talking about how fucking English Canada hates them, how they're fucking second-class citizens, not treated fairly, but yet they have all the DEI. Every benefit in Canada goes to French Canada, just like every benefit in America goes to Black America. But yet they're the loudest crybabies fucking around. And English Canada sits there going, what the fuck, man? We don't care. And white America is the same. They're like, what the fuck, man? I don't care. I just want to fucking work, pay for my house, send my kids to a good school, go on a nice vacation. That's it, right? That's what white America is hoping for. They don't care about fucking Mexican, Asian, Black Americans. If you're my neighbor and you're a fucking good neighbor, cool. If you're a shit neighbor, you're doing it for your culture. Now I'm going to fucking generalize and fucking group you together. And that's what happens on YouTube. The people that fucking moan the most represent their people on a huge social platform, which makes them look bad. Sean, I love hearing you talk about boxing. Out of 90% of the boxing community, you have the most common sense. Thank God. I think I have the most common sense. It doesn't mean fucking all my takes are right and that everything I say is correct. But nobody should think that everything they say is correct. I can't stand to listen to John Boxing. I quit listening to these people because they kept making me more racist. That's true. That's true. Like the whole fucking black fatigue situation right now. John gets burnt out because it was a black term used by a black woman talking about how she felt fatigued in white America. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sure she felt fatigued. Even though she lived in a black community, probably the majority of people she worked with were black. All her friends were black, but she had black fatigue. Maybe she should stop watching the news, and that would be the problem. Because it's kind of the same, right? The news media brainwashes you, filters such negativity to you that you just have a fucking reaction to it, which isn't your natural reaction. But when day in, day on, you're fucking bombarded with this bullshit, you fucking do have black fatigue, right? Now, more so than ever. None of us had black fatigue back in the day because no social media, none of this fucking bullshit consistently pushed by big media. You didn't have fucking Twitter and all these videos and all these black people fucking saying blatantly racist shit about white people, which fucking obviously people fucking take personally, right? You know, this is all done on purpose to create this tension and turmoil in America, because heaven forbid black America and brown people all unite together to try to have a better country. But then guys like John, they're too stupid to fucking understand that. They'd rather keep fucking creating this tension. LDBC built a cult following by race hustlers. Exactly. I still can't get over how the PBC robbed Joet in the Figueroa fight. I believe they would have done the same. Hitchens fought Russell. You enjoyed this. Chime in. Hawker OG. My mom's neighbor has been living next to her since the 90s. They've been good people and good neighbors. Yeah, that's it. Right? My friend in Vancouver, she's Asian, Chinese, Malaysian mom. I lived in the basement. Her neighbor was like a Scottish fucking woman, Canadian, totally what you think of Canadians, right? Scottish, Irish, English. Great neighbors, friendly with each other, and respectful of each other. If I made too much noise, she would be angry and say, Sean, the neighbors, right? She wouldn't want to bother the neighbors, and the neighbors at the same time didn't want to bother her. They were being considerate. That's all you have to be in the world is considerate. Just be fucking considerate. I'm Canadian, and maybe on YouTube, I don't come off as being considerate. But if you ran into me in real life, I'm probably the most considerate person you'd ever run into. Because as a Canadian, that's how I was brought up. And as a Canadian, when I live in Canada and fucking new immigrants and people come in and aren't considerate, that's going to fucking piss me off. Because that's not the way you should fucking live in a community. I lived in a community where you knew all your neighbors, right? My neighbors would have dinner parties and they had no kids, so they invite me to join them. You know, not that it was weird. It was just I was their neighbor, right? When my grandparents were away, I'd stay at other neighbors until they got back, after school. This is what community is about. Community, being considerate, right? John Boxing is probably recording this live. Of course, he's going to respond and talk about racism this and racism that. But yet, this is the guy that literally came out, picked 2 Asians and 2 white people to try to build up black fighters. You can't just praise the black fighters for what they're doing. You need to shit on non-black fighters in the process, right? Think about that whole mind frame that you need to tear someone down to build someone up. If that's what you're doing, it's fucking all wrong to begin with. I ain't shitting on Tank Davis because he's fucking trying to get paid. I'm shitting on Tank Davis because throughout his whole fucking career, he's been trying to get paid and failed to fucking deliver pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view against fucking shit opponent after shit opponent after shit fucking opponent. And now he's doing this for the money, for the bag. Even though he's just offered the bag to fight Devin Haney from Turkey Al Sheikh. What did he say for that? He ran away from that opportunity. The guy Tellez reminds me of Cuban dude who got stopped by the deaf black guy named Julian. Tellez will be thrown in the trash. The network aren't generous to these Cuban guys that don't pan out. Rigo is somewhat of an example of that. Tank fanboys always use excuses for him, but at least Tellez is offensive-minded. Well, that's the thing, right? Tellez was an exciting fight. Tellez was in a fight with Abbas that is going to be considered one of the fights of the year of 2025. So even though he was the A side, he's going to be praised because Stephanie fucking Hahn is pretty fucking sexy. God damn. Stephanie Hahn fought today on that undercard. She's pretty fucking sexy, man. She walks in like fucking a black fucking tight suit. Stephanie Hahn. Let's get it on. Let's get it on, Stephanie Hahn. I'd throw it to her in fucking 10 seconds flat. As far as the Latina girl that she's fighting, is she black, Latina? She looks fit, but her face is, not my cup of tea. I might not be her cup of tea. Nobody throwing Tellez away. That's what I think. Tellez was just in the fight of the year. He's going to get opportunities, right, if he still wants to go in against tough opposition like this. I don't think this was fight of the year. It was one-sided clinic. Yeah, but that's because you're being biased, David. I had no bias going into that fight. So I knew Abbas. I watched Abbas. I knew he was going to be good. So I wasn't surprised that he did fight well. David, Sean thought it was competitive. It was competitive. Davis is ducking Roach, and Devin Haney is no better than Paulie Malignaggi. He's only proven that he is quick to snitch and sue. I would say that's probably pretty true. I don't know if Devin Haney is really any better than fucking Paulie Malignaggi. And if you throw him in with fucking Cotto type of opponents, I expect him to get beat up and fucking brutalized. Right? Not to say that that's going to be Norman Jr., because at this point, Norman Jr., people want to boost him up. I already made the video telling you John Boxing wants Devin Haney to beat Brian Norman so that they can put him into the pound-for-pound number one position, thinking Bud Crawford's going to lose to Canelo, right? That's John's thinking. But beating Brian Norman Jr. does not make you pound-for-pound number one fighter in boxing. It doesn't push you ahead of a Nui. It doesn't push you ahead of Bivol. It probably doesn't push you ahead of fucking Bam Rodriguez, right? Now, Devin is no better. I think Iglesias is the best Cuban with the most potential. H Money's favorite fighter. Oh, I think Iglesias is good, but at the same time, he got to step up, right? You're only as good as fucking you prove in the ring, and I say that against every fighter. You're only as good as you are in the ring. All the talk and the hype means nothing. You got to beat fucking legitimate fighters in the ring. Little Lomachenko was past his prime and way smaller than Haney. Still, he beat him clearly. Yeah, Iglesias is good, I think, too. I think Lomachenko won the fight. It's ironic in that fight, low body shots were so important for Devin Haney to win. Yet, only in that fight does anyone ever pay attention to body shots. I've never heard any other fighter in boxing win a fight because of body shots. Canelo Alvarez literally beat fucking that Cuban from body shots, and people said he only landed 3 headshots. How do you win a fight if you only land 3 headshots? What do you mean? Body shots are just as fucking significant as headshots, right? That's why Devin Haney beat Lomachenko. So if Devin Haney can beat Lomachenko based on body work, then why can't Canelo beat some unknown Cuban kid from body work? And the difference is Loma didn't run around the ring trying to survive. He was still right in there fucking landing headshots. Paulie is frustrated with today's fans. Yeah, but Paulie is fucking also a bit of a fuckboy with his approach as well. He don't want to give anyone credit at all, right? Yet this guy was the biggest Floyd Mayweather dick rider in fucking boxing history. Hawker Loma is so much smaller. That was impressive how he looked. Shishkin, unlike Canelo, almost stopped Skull. Carrier Paulie keeps it real, laugh it out, calling fanboys out. Well, he picks and chooses. He only recently started to be critical of Tank Davis. Before, all he did was fucking hate on Canelo and say that fucking Morrell would fucking steamroll fucking Canelo. Really? Does he feel the same way now? After Morrell just lost to an unknown fucking Russian fucking fighter from Australia? Sean Paulie is good. Don't get me wrong. I like Paulie as a boxing announcer. But when he speaks too much of his truth, it's too much of his fucking truth, right? I mean, him with the whole fucking Manny Pacquiao PED situation. This is a guy that knows everyone's on PEDs, but yet he only pointed fingers at Pacquiao, never fucking pointed fingers at Floyd, right? Talks about picking and choosing and fighting old fighters to shit on Canelo, but never says that about Floyd, right? The dude picks and chooses, right? That's the problem with him. Yeah, he is too passionate. He's fucking Italian, right? Fucking the Italians, man. You know, they're always too fucking emotional. That's why you got to take everything they say with a fucking grain of salt. Paulie going to slip up and say the N-word. He's so close. Well, I mean, the N-word is fucking pop culture now, right? So if anyone says it, is it really that big of a deal? Like rap music, movies, fucking, it's everywhere. Like literally, Black American culture has made it normal. They've normalized the N-word, but then get offended when people use it. But it's your fault. You're the one that normalized the word. It wasn't white people that normalized the word. It was black people that fucking normalized the word. Usually you embrace a word like that and you desensitize it, right? So that now when people use it, it doesn't have really any fucking hold over you. But they've done the opposite. They've popularized it, but made it even more of a fucking, you know, this fucking taboo. So you're like daunting it in everyone's face, saying, here, sing my song, but don't say that word. Watch my movies, but don't say that word, right? You know, hang out with a bunch of brothers who use the word consistently, but don't say that word. No other word in history has been popularized and then still been considered taboo. Only the N-word. That's a fact. You cannot give me another example of anything like that. Like, I'll give you an example. In South Africa, the equivalent to the N-word is kafa, right? But yet, I work with a bunch of South Africans and Swazi people. Swaziland's a small country inside of South Africa. And if I said, oh, what's the equivalent? Some people don't even know what it is because it's just not used that much in popular culture in South Africa anymore. It's an old word that now is no longer really used, unless it's used blatantly by fucking racist white South Africans, right? Black South Africa didn't fucking popularize it, didn't make it part of fucking the rap culture, didn't fucking make it this word that every kid has on their lips because it was offensive. So they tried to get it out of the vocabulary, not fucking bring it in. I agree with you 100% when it comes to Paulie. Paulie looking juice versus Cotto. I'm pretty sure Floyd took more PEDs than anybody. Hawker, he wasn't juicing. He wasn't juiced. Who wasn't juiced? Paulie or Floyd? Floyd was fucking definitely juiced. You do not take invalid fucking fluid transfer, whatever it's called, prior to being fucking tested. Sean, I heard vaping is serious in Thailand. Well, I don't know. Vaping is pretty serious everywhere right now, right? But obviously, marijuana was kind of pseudo legalized in Thailand. I was just there. I went to a shop that had like 10 jars of different weeds with breakdowns of what they do for you. I bought like 3 different strains, a gram each. And then I was told that really you can't really smoke it. So I can buy it, but I can't really smoke it. She said, you can smoke it, just be careful who's near you. Can I smoke it in the beach? Just look around and make sure there's no cops around. Can I smoke it in the store? They're like, no, not anymore. So, you can buy it. It's everywhere. There's fucking a million shops between my friend's hotel and my hotel. But, on the walk from his hotel to my hotel, I better make sure I know who's around me when I'm smoking, even though I smoked a fat one every night when I made that walk because it was the perfect opportunity. Well, I did it in your hotel, but hotels, you can't smoke in your room, right? And so where are you going to smoke? On my balcony? My balcony is surrounded by other people. There's kids everywhere. So being considerate, because that's me. I smoked on my balcony after 10 o'clock, right? Because all the kids are in bed. No one's walking around. Or I walk to the back of the hotel where the workers are and all that kind of stuff. And I smoked back there. So, being considerate. Or I walked at nighttime between my hotels on the beach. Why is it illegal? Well, Thailand is a Buddhist country, so it's very conservative. But because of tourism being its number one trade, and then COVID destroying the whole fucking tourism field, they need to do something to recharge tourism into Thailand. So they legalized weed, and tourism fucking boomed, right? But then, truthfully, they're a very conservative country. Like when I first went to Thailand, you would never see a girl with her top off on a beach. Never. That's so disrespected. You would never see it. But now you go to beaches and you're going to see tits everywhere, right? Especially on island beaches. And it was like, they're Buddhist. And then the southern fucking part of Thailand is fucking Muslim. So it's even more conservative down south than it is all around the island. So it's a very conservative country. I heard the WBA is going to make Abbas fight Charlo. WBA? Well, Abbas is going to fight for the WBO title because that's the title he just got an opportunity to fight for. So he's going to fight Xander Zayas. I have a question about drug testing. Did you know they do random testing, and if a fighter isn't there to be drug tested, they only get a mark up against them? Nothing else happens. Go look it up. Is ESPN out of boxing? Is what asked my bad. ESPN apparently is signing a deal with a small boxing promotional. I can't remember who, but like somebody who just fought recently, but like a smaller sort of group. Sean, is the Ali Act abolished? No. My question is, why do they do testing? Why do they do testing? That's the question. Because, based on promoters, that dictates how serious and how significant testing is, right? You can do testing and none of it ever comes out. So, at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? I don't care. Sean, is Top Rank really going to Stars? I heard they're going to spread through multiple platforms. But I did hear Stars, they're going to have 12 fight dates, one a month, with $1 million given to them by Star Network. So that's $12 million a year they have to spend on fights. So that's one. And obviously, that's going to be lower level fights because with $1 million, how much, what fighters are you going to put on your card, right? It's going to be mostly build up type of dudes, right? All these prospects and young guys coming up. So, that's probably what's going to be there. And then they have a couple more potential broadcasters that they might go with as well. And obviously, they need one that's going to highlight the bigger names. Star always was HBO and Showtime's little brother. No, I think that since Crawford moved up, the WBA made Teles and Abbas a title fight. No, it was an interim title, but then today you saw post fight, Xander Zayas walked in. They did a face off because apparently that's his mandatory. UFC doesn't really do drug testing, and that type of fighting is much more dangerous than boxing. That's what I heard. It's probably going to be temporary. Mirage, Team Mirage. How could somebody be a team for a social media person who's not even a social media person? So, Veronica Flores, you support Mirage, an Australian guy who dick rides David Benavidez. So, I suppose you're a big David Benavidez fan. That's okay. You can be a big David Benavidez fan. That's cool. The last time I watched and subbed to Stars was about 25 years ago. Weird place to show low-level boxing cards. Well, no, because the last time you watched Stars was 25 years ago. So obviously they need to do something to get people to pay attention. So who's the WBA champ at 154? I think it's vacant, right? ESPN picked up WWE instead of boxing. Well, no, I do hear that they are potentially going to have low-level boxing, not such high-level fight cards. Even though ESPN wasn't putting on big high-level fight cards, they put on good cards, solid. Nobody's going to order Stars to watch club-level boxing cards. Not club-level, Hawker. You got great young up-and-coming superstars for cheap money on a platform where you don't have to pay for it. You just pay for how much is it going to cost you? $5 for a fucking monthly thing for Stars? I don't know. Or Stars is part of a package. When I was a child, my sister and I, a white kid, went to an all-black school. I know what we went through. So when I hear black scream racism, I laugh. I played basketball in Toronto. Everybody on my team was black. All my friends were black. I grew up in elementary school. All my friends were white except for one black kid. Then I went to junior high school. It was a mix. Most of my new friends, basketball friends, were black, but obviously elementary school friends were still white. Then I went to high school and I still had white friends and stuff, but obviously playing basketball, all the people I'm playing with were all black. And so when I talk about black racism, I'm not saying it to be an asshole or to point fingers and say that, white people are not racist and Latin people aren't racist and everyone else is perfect. I'm just saying it goes both ways. That's all. It literally goes both fucking ways. The money is too low to get any names. No, but they got tons of young up-and-coming prospects on ESPN. Top Rank might as well stream their fights on OnlyFans. I heard Turkey about to start live public sparring. I grew up around many black kids. Caitlin Clark is pushed out. Paige is by far better than her. Timmy, that's a stupid fucking comment. Much more efficient and it looks so much cleaner. Yet she's not being double and triple teamed. She's not being fucking fouled consistently. She's getting fucking easy treatment compared to what Caitlin Clark was given last year. And Caitlin Clark still fucking led the league in assists. And now Paige's team is out of the playoffs. Caitlin Clark's team is going to be one of the top teams in the playoffs. Paige is also easier in the eyes, but she wouldn't go near fucking you, Timmy. She's a lesbian. She dates fucking her teammate from fucking UConn, who's pretty sexy. Timmy Sab the GOAT. Jake Paul has a fancy sparring. We are naturally tribalistic. It's natural of the beast. Even though in saying that, I don't feel tribalistic as a white person because I played basketball. All my friends were black. In my school, I had Italians who are super tribalist, consistently call me a fucking, you know, I was a wigger. I was fucking a N lover, right? This is the stuff I grew up my whole life in high school listening to. Not that I didn't hang out with people. Obviously, I went on a trip with mostly Italians to the beaches and everything else every weekend when we had long weekends. Most of my friends that we would do that were all white guys, and then all basketball was all the brothers. My other friend would hang out at his night every night, smoking, playing ball, playing tennis, right? And that community was kind of the ghetto in my neighborhood. So I think you only true to be tribalistic if because of comfort, right? But in sports, you don't need to be that way because I always liked supporting Black American athletes. Being a basketball fan, all the basketball players I supported, majority were black, obviously. And the majority of boxers I grew up watching were majority black as well. I could have liked more Mexican and Latin fighters, but stylistically, I didn't really like their style as much. They were a little too one-dimensional, right? Not as skilled and versatile. I preferred boxer punchers, guys that could move, right? Show great slickness, fast hands, fast feet, but then would sit down on punches and put down some serious ass beating as well. Not to say I didn't like Mexican American or Mexican fighters. I liked Barrera, right? And when Barrera got beat by John something Jones, Kennedy's Jones, I was very disappointed and was happy to see him come back a better fighter. And was never a fan of Morales, right? Or Marquez, but I like Barrera. Barrera was a boxer puncher. He was much more stylistic of a fighter I liked. So, Sean, you hoop with the brothers? Of course. Who I'm going to hoop with? In Toronto, you're going to all the top courts in the city. Most of them are in low income fucking areas, and it's all brothers you're playing with. So there you are. My team, my school was George Harvey. George Harvey was Italian and black school, so 50-50. I was a minority because Italians don't identify with me. They don't consider themselves white Canadians. They consider themselves Italian. Sean, did the CIA really get rid of Kennedy? I'm not Italian. No. Say that Italians are going to lose their wig. Sean, you prefer flat-footed Mexicans over slick black fighters? I do. Because at least the fights are exciting. Slick, and it's not slick black fighters, right? People use that because they want to make a racial fucking point. I prefer flat-footed, aggressive fighters to slick fighters. Don't matter the color. There's a young man, 26-year-old, that is changing American political stance. His name is Nick Follens. Over in Britain, when they had last three protests, they were chanting Nick's name. What about De La Hoya? I like De La Hoya style, but I was never a De La Hoya fan. I preferred Pernell Whitaker, even though people say he's a little more slick. But I love that 1984 Olympic team, the whole team, right? Because I watched them win in the Olympics. I watched them grow. And because of that, they were close to my heart. Holyfield, fucking Taylor, Whitaker, Virgil Hill, Breland, right? Sean, you watched Coach Malachi? Not that much because he mostly does long lives, and I get bored. I have short attention span, so I can't really sit down and watch too much live stuff. But yeah. But De La Hoya, I wasn't a huge fan of De La Hoya, but I appreciated De La Hoya a little more. But De La Hoya was a little bit like Ryan Garcia, a little mentally fucking twisted, changing coaches all the time, never fucking feeling very comfortable in his fucking body. And so I never really fucking trusted him. John Boxing makes me dislike black U.S. boxers. He makes me hold them to the same standard he holds Golovkin to. Exactly. That's it, right? You're going to shit all over Golovkin. I'm going to point out the double standard. Like, if you're going to praise Tank Davis's WBA regular championships, but then you're going to fucking shit on Golovkin, who broke B-Hop's record of most middleweight title defenses, right? And say it's not a legitimate title. Well, it's the exact same title that B-Hop was defending, because there was no super title when B-Hop was a champion. Oscar De La Hoya was great. He was great. And he crossed over, right? But I preferred the crazy Mexican, whose son is really good right now. At the time, I preferred him. He was a much more exciting fighter. You know, he was, like I said, compare Tio to him, right? Mental, right? Guy's fucking gonna lose his shit fucking any minute. But he was fun to watch. Exciting. Obviously came from the U.S. Olympic boxing program. Lots of power. Unfortunately, they fucked him up by throwing him with Tito and De La Hoya so early, Vargas, and ruined his career. Slick fighter of today are very few. Loma and Usyk are slick fighters, along with Bivol. Now they're slick. Can we say black fighters? Oscar resume is not overrated. Oscar's resume is better than De La Hoya. I mean, sorry, better than fucking Floyd Mayweather. Oscar's resume is legitimate. Fernando Vargas, yeah. I was hoping that Ryan Garcia could be the next De La Hoya, but it's not going to happen. Me too, right? He had the great left hand, right? Tall, good-looking kid, very marketable, but he didn't have the pedigree that De La Hoya had. Couldn't use the jab like De La Hoya, terrible foot movement, right? So, you know. Oscar De La Hoya's resume is way better than Floyd Mayweather. Come on, aircraft carrier. Get over yourself. Oscar fought fucking everybody, and that's why he took losses. Unlike Floyd, who aged people out and fought them when they were past their prime. Mosley, Cotto, Pacquiao, right? All fucking past their prime when he beat them. He didn't fight them at their best. No. And I don't like Oscar. But I can be honest. His resume is better. He fought better people. Floyd gets credit for beating guys Oscar already beat, like Arturo Gatti and the first champion he beat. Oscar already beat both of those guys. No one talks about those wins for Oscar De La Hoya, but he's the guy that literally beat those guys first. Why doesn't he get credit? I always rated Oscar over Floyd. Ryan Garcia is weak mentally also. I think Oscar was also weak mentally. It just, obviously, he was put together better than Ryan was. Ryan is average at best. Well, Ryan's left hand is special. It's just unfortunate, and his hand speed. It's just unfortunate he had people around him that never really pushed him to get better as a boxer, to focus on his fundamentals, right? Otherwise, he would be one of the top fighters in boxing. But unfortunately, you got no jab. You don't have a right hand. You rely too much on your left. And you can only use your hand speed when you're in range. But your footwork is terrible. So you're never fucking in range. And there's the twist, right? How good can you really be? By saying Oscar De La Hoya's resume is better than Floyd, it's not shitting on Floyd, right? Once again, this is the problem with many boxing fans. You can rate Oscar De La Hoya's resume better. That doesn't dismiss Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather also has a great resume. Oh, yeah. Who do you got with Bohocuk, Brandon Adams? I think Brandon Adams could beat him again. Brandon Adams lost that fight to that Greek kid, but that fight was very close. Easily could have went Brandon Adams' way. Ryan, the only tune-up caliber fighter who can demand $1 million. Ryan should have fought Jake Paul instead of Gervonta. Would do numbers since they both had large social media following. He did call him out, right? But Jake was never really that interested because Jake knew him. They probably sparred and did stuff together. And Jake probably knew, yeah, I don't want to fight him. Anyone that thinks Floyd was a better resume than De La Hoya is a clown. Evan, calm down. Both have great resumes, so there is a conversation to be had. I mean, if people said Floyd's resume is better, I don't agree, but I'm not going to clown them because they're not pushing some bullshit fighter. Floyd's resume is good. Oscar De La Hoya got robbed a few times. He never ducked scary fighters the way Floyd did. True. Bull was winning every round before Adam stopped him with that left hand. Ryan could have put Haney asleep if they knew what he was doing, so Haney got beat by a below average fighter. Fuego, who you got, Bud or Canelo? How Oscar resume better? Ryan's left reminds me of Trinidad's long, fast, powerful. So, aircraft carrier. Where's the criticism for fighting 10 pound for pound rated fighters on your resume? Like literally, you can probably list 10 fighters that were pound for pound on De La Hoya's resume. Floyd, Pacquiao, B-Hop, fucking Trinidad, Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto. Oh, he never fought Miguel Cotto. Pernell Whitaker, and there's more. I just can't think. Like, sure, he lost fights, but when you fight such high-level fighters, you're going to lose fights. When you go up from 147 to 160 and fight a Hall of Famer like B-Hop, it's no surprise you got beat. Trinidad also got beat, right? Yeah, Floyd's resume is great too. Oscar beat Sweet Pea. Oscar got robbed by Tito. He did get robbed. Quasquez has an ugly style, though. I don't care for it. No, me neither. The guy is a hardcore casual. Floyd barely beat Oscar. There was a big push for a rematch, justifiably, right? But Floyd didn't want the rematch. Why? It would have been a huge money fight. Why wouldn't you want to rematch the biggest money fight in boxing? Then he ducked a career high payday for a rematch. I seen Bitch and Floyd very early. I thought Floyd beat Oscar 9-3. Well, if you're a huge Floyd Mayweather fan, then it is what it is. There's no convincing you otherwise, because you got like your shaded glasses and you're gonna fucking obviously see everything Floyd did like that, and that's fine. That's fair enough. But you got to understand, you're really looking as a fanboy. Me talking about De La Hoya, nobody would ever accuse me of being an Oscar De La Hoya fanboy. So when I talk about this, I'm not a fan of Floyd. I'm not a fan of Oscar. I don't need to push some narrative because I don't fucking care. I agree Oscar's a good fighter. I'm sorry I turned the subject over. Only Little Stank Davis ducked more smoke than fraudulent Floyd did. Floyd retired instead of rematching De La Hoya. He fucking retired when he had all the big fights ahead of him at 147. Allowed all those fighters to face each other, beat each other up, wear each other out, and then come back. Mayweather fought the big show instead of the rematch. Enough said. Sorry, there he goes. Floyd went for the bag, right? Floyd went for the bag. Floyd is doing what Tank Davis did. That's what Floyd did. I forgot that. I never talk about that because I never paid attention to it, because it was as stupid as fucking Dennis Rodman and fucking Carl the Mailman Malone on WWE. Something I also didn't fucking talk about either. See, that's the thing. Bolchuk is chinny. Virgil couldn't do anything with him. Do you see Lubin being a threat to Virgil? It seems Virgil hasn't carried the punch up to 154. David, that was his first fight, man, basically. He's been much better afterwards. His fight versus Madrimov was much better. He looked a lot more legitimately like he was at 147 pounds. You got to give a guy a chance, man. You can't be hypercritical of one fight. Everybody has bad fights. I was 8 when Floyd fought Big Show. David Boha, not that chinny. I thought Floyd beat Oscar 7-5. Floyd then ducked a rematch with Oscar. Midget Pacquiao moved up 2 to 3 weight classes and knocked Oscar out. Well, didn't knock him out, but made him quit, right? Yeah. But Floyd was scared of Manny the rest of his career. That's a fact. He fought fucking Manny literally after fucking Marquez knocked Manny out, right? That's when you grow balls and you step in to fight Manny Pacquiao after Tim Bradley beat him controversially, and then Marquez fucking flatlined him. You fought a guy coming off of being flatlined by Juan Manuel Marquez. Definitely not the best version of Manny Pacquiao, physically or fucking mentally. And people say, Floyd was older than Manny. Yeah, when did Floyd get fucking flatlined? Never. So comparing them by age is stupid. It's not based on age. It's based on wear and tear. Floyd was scared. Virgil looked better versus Madrimov than Crawford did. Way better. Oscar was washed and drained versus Manny. Yeah, and you could say he was washed and drained when he fought Felix Sturm, when he fought fucking B-Hop, when he fought Floyd Mayweather. So let's not fucking move the goalpost. Pacquiao just fucking made easy work of him, like you should. Floyd didn't. This is like Tank calling out Lomachenko after Loma says he's going to retire. Exactly. Right? Like now people saying Loma ducked Tank Davis. But for years and years, John Boxing and the rest justified Tank Davis blatantly ducking Lomachenko. Literally telling you they were going to fucking wait him out, age him out. And then after the Kambosos fight, Lomachenko told you he was going to retire. He wasn't even going to come back and fight fucking Kambosos. The only reason he came back was because his dad. He came back to get the win. He got it. Nobody's surprised he retired after that. There was legitimate conversation that he was going to retire after the Kambosos win. And he did. He thought about a potential fight with Tank Davis. But then when you got to deal with guys like Tank Davis and the PBC, is it any wonder you walk away and say, fuck you guys? You guys need me. I don't need you. And he doesn't need him because Lomachenko's got career-defining fights on his resume. Whether they're wins or losses, he has them. What defining fight does fucking Tank Davis have on his resume? Jake fucking Paul. I picked Oscar to beat Manny. Manny was tiny. I fucking made tons of money picking fucking Manny to beat Hatton. All the UK cash in Taiwan all were picking Ricky Hatton. And then I picked him to beat fucking Oscar De La Hoya. I was a huge Pacquiao fan. Allegedly, Loma was going to fight Tank, but he injured his back while the negotiations were underway and was never the same. Well, I did hear that his back injury was really one of the main reasons why he decided to retire, which is unfortunate, right? But that's God telling you, right? At this point, you don't need it anymore, man. You've dealt with a lot of politics in the sport, a lot of bullshit. All Loma ever wanted to do was fight the best fighters available. He didn't want tune-up fights. He didn't want casuals. He didn't want fucking bullshit fights. He only wanted to fight the best for world titles and try to become undisputed. Unfortunately for him, the sport of boxing is so corrupt and so fucking, fucking political that it was difficult for him to get those things, right? What's that? Mayweather Showtime, Alex says show. I'll be a coward when talking about Pacquiao. Yeah, Madrimov was a good performance, Virgil, but then he went the distance, softened Madrimov up. Matt, it was sarcasm. Sean, you believe in God? Not religious-wise. I don't believe in a religion, even though I do have Buddha on my arm. Because Buddha, I don't consider religion. I consider it philosophy. But I would never support fucking Muslims, fucking Islam, a religion of fucking aggression. It goes against everything religious, in my perspective. And as far as Catholicism, it's not much better. It's a little better, but not much better. All these religions were used to fucking control people and to make money, even in Taiwan and around the world. Now Buddhism is used the same way. So I believe in something bigger that controls things and energy, a source. But I don't want to put like a human figure on it because it's not a human. It doesn't look like a human. It has nothing to do with humanity, right? Because the earth was here billions and billions and billions of years before humans were around. But obviously there's something bigger than us. And you can describe it or call it whatever you want. That's your prerogative. But yeah, that's my belief. Black American boxers always looking for the easy fights now. That's true. I asked this on BT's Live and couldn't get an answer, but do people think Conwell would be a tougher fight for Virgil than Lubin would? Well, it's less likely that Conwell will get knocked out. It's more likely that Lubin would get knocked out. Conwell is fresher because he's never been knocked out. Even if his loss, I mean, he went the distance. He just got outworked by a dangerous fighter. So I think Conwell is more dangerous than Lubin. But Lubin obviously is more explosive and faster. Boots had no legacy and might be the next Tank Davis. Dude hasn't fought anybody. That's true. Sean is a Hebrew. I definitely not Hebrew. Otherwise, I'd be doing financially much better than I am now. If I could convert, is it too late to convert? Is there like money? Do you get like a fucking retirement fund if you convert to becoming a Hebrew? I need to go fucking live in what do they call those communal farming areas in Israel? Do I have to go live there for a while and earn my keep? Because maybe I'd be up for doing that. That might be better than fucking teaching in Taiwan. Not that I don't like teaching in Taiwan. I love it. Easy life. Thanks, Sean, for clearing that up. I thought you were an atheist. Not an atheist. When you're great, you fight the tough fights when you are Boots' age. That's true. Boots should be fighting the tough fights now. But we expect him to fight Virgil next, right? If he doesn't, then we got to start asking questions. Madrimov, Hebrew Black Israelite. That's me. You have to sacrifice your chill ring, your chili ring. Your what? It's like people give, oh, I'm Canadian. That shit's gone already. Ton of credit for beating Madrimov. I don't get it. I know Madrimov gave Crawford a tough fight, but he still lost. Pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, both sides look like extremists. I agree. Historically, 25 years ago, I was not pro-Palestine, but I was unhappy with the way Israel was dealing with the Palestinians. After, of course, going through the whole German fucking situation, you figure they'd be more accommodating, more understanding, able to fucking do things in a better way. But at this point, when I've learned more about Muslims and Islam, I realize there's no fucking negotiation and no winning with those people. They just want to kill all the fucking Jews, take over the land, like they want to take over everybody's land. They want to take over Europe. They want to take over America, Canada. They want to take over Taiwan, Japan, just like they did to fucking Indonesia and Malaysia, right? That's their religion, to fucking take over, to have so many kids that they just fucking birth you out. So now the population naturally changes because now there's just more Muslims that can vote than any other fucking group. In Malaysia, they kicked the Chinese out. If Chinese didn't want to convert to become Muslim, they were literally kicked out of the country and all their land was possessed by the government, right? This is what Muslims do. But now they're upset that the Jews are doing similar something to Palestine. Yeah, but the reality is you guys would do the same thing anyway. So what's the fucking difference? Pro-Palestinians are blocking our streets 24/7. Yeah, and listen to these people, a bunch of white fucking women. Like, it's ridiculous. Stupid fucking idiots. People are fucking dumb. And this is not a new thing. It's been going on for fucking decades. So the fact that now it's popular after Muslims attacked Jews in a fucking summer festival, killed women and children, and then grabbed them and took them hostages. And now, of course, Israel's responded. Now Israel somehow is bad. You know what would have stopped all of this from happening? Hamas from fucking killing women and children. If they didn't do that, we wouldn't be where we are today, right? We'd be a little closer to negotiation, right? And these people are so stupid, they don't even remember when fucking the leader of Palestine and fucking the Israel prime minister actually came to an agreement, right, of peace and prosperity. And what happened? Both of them were assassinated and killed. Both of them. The Jewish prime minister and the fucking head of Palestine, both fucking assassinated. But most of these people protesting don't even know that that happened because they're so stupid. Multiple times Palestine was given an opportunity to become a legitimate country, something Taiwan hasn't been given the opportunity of, but Palestine has. They always vote against it because they don't want to become recognized. They just want to get rid of fucking Jews. David Perez is awful. Not sure how Conwell lost to him. You don't get God, just consideration, and we would all be good. Exactly. That's it. Just be considerate to fucking your neighbors, man. The Jews killed Jesus. I thought that was the Romans. Sean, is Candace Owen hot? No. And she's a little fucking over the top. The fact that she's so fucking interested in the French president's wife, the fact that she was apparently a male, just like Obama's wife. It's crazy, right? That's the underlining story now, that these transgendered women have become wives of presidents, whether it's talking about Obama or the president of France. Who gives a fuck? Truthfully, I don't care. I mean, if she's transgendered and the fucking president married her and is with her, whatever. What I'm more concerned about is how he's leading his country. And the French president is leading his country shit. Now accepting fucking Palestinian fucking immigrants or refugees. I mean, you need more Muslims to fucking take over France. France is fucked. And France is the first European country to literally be fucked, right? There's going to be no Parisians anymore. It's all going to be fucking North African fucking Muslims. But okay. Candace Owens is smoking hot. Man, come on. Now, if you're talking about the girl on ESPN, she's smoking hot. Candace Owens, not so much. Not so much. But what does Candace Owens and the girl from ESPN both have in common? They both married white guys. Hey, once you go white, you must be right. Crazy. But thanks, everyone, for jumping in. I'm going to go buy a coffee and feed the dog. It's always 2:30 right now here. So thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. If you haven't seen John Boxing's video, check it out and look at what a racist troll he truly is, that somehow to defend Tank Davis, he needs to use Devin Haney because he can't use Tank Davis. And he needs to shit on fucking non-black fighters to hype up black fighters. Why do you need to hate on people to build up people? If your people were doing something legitimate, you would just talk about that. You wouldn't need to fucking point fingers at other people and shit all over them. Owens is a bit batshit crazy. I agree with you. Controls the U.S. Congress and Trump. AIPAC. Do you see Lubin maybe catching Virgil? Nope. Bacon, she isn't. Tommy Lahren is the hottest political commentator. I don't know who that is. Yes, Raf. Tommy Lahren. Who is Tommy Lahren? It sounds like an English bloke. Tommy. Oh, she's the first one to jump on my feed. The Blaze. She's not really my type. I'm not against blonde girls, but I don't really think she's that hot. She's got nice hair, but yeah, she's not my type. Maybe that's just a bad picture. Yeah, she's okay. I would still take the girl from ESPN. John Boxing is a jerk. Candace is biased to me. Salute. John Boxing just made a video of Haney shitting on Boots, already throwing salt at Boots for working with Canelo. Of course he is. But once again, this is a guy who, Malik Andrews, that's right, Malik Andrews. She's hot. But this is once again what you see in YouTube boxing. Black on black hate, right? But John's going to point fingers and call everyone else a racist. But here you are, hating on Boots Ennis for fucking working with Canelo Alvarez because you're so afraid. If Bud Crawford is so much better, it don't fucking matter who fucking Canelo spars with. It don't matter. If he's way better, he's gonna fucking win. I'm leaning towards Crawford to win. Yes, I'm making the video today again. I made it already, but I deleted it. So stay tuned and watch the video. I don't want to say too much too soon. Sean, go Google Joy Reid. She's probably your type. Fuck off, Joy Reid. She's definitely not my type. I'm pretty sure I know who she is. Some racist fucking black girl on the networks. You know, yeah, man. Come on, Joy Reid. This woman, my type, you're mental. I would not fuck her with your cock. I wouldn't. I wouldn't fuck her with your cock. I wouldn't let her give me a blowjob. I wouldn't. I'm picky. I only pick girls that I like, which sometimes leaves you lonely and cold at night. But when you get what you want, it's so fulfilling. Bud either wins a close decision or gets bulldozed. I agree. That's kind of what I think. I kind of think Canelo breaks him down and stops him late. Or I think Bud Crawford wins because he's able to control distance and just outwork and outland Canelo Alvarez, who's a counterpuncher. Sean used the word The View every day. Me, The View, never. I've never watched an episode of that show. Word of the day, considerate. Exactly. Just be fucking considerate. My neighbors here, I live in townhouses. My neighbors are right next to me. You can hear the neighbors often when I make videos fucking talking with each other just outside. Considerate. They don't hate me as the only white guy in the community. They're all older people, old Taiwanese people. They're friendly to me, sometimes give me fruit because they got to keep me healthy, right? Because I'm considerate. Just be considerate, people. But thanks, everyone, for jumping in. I will see you next time. Peace out. And have a good weekend. What's left? Mine's done, pretty much.